Ms. Anderson, I just need to tell you one thing. At this time, I know you probably have a civil citation you have to deal with respect to the animal, but at this time, part of the conditions of your pretrial release is you can't own any animals.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
I'm going to take a class.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Ms. Gay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Gay, this is 22 MM 6803. You failed to appear for pretrial on January 6th. Your bond is currently $2,500. Is there an offer for Ms. Gay?
State did give me an offer of an adjudication credit, no return to the Walmart at 5991 South Goldenrod Road in Orlando, and cost investigation to OPD in the amount of $89.58.
And Ms. Gay would like to accept the state's offer and enter a plea of no contest. Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Gay, did you have an opportunity to read that plea form?
We went over.
Yeah, I went over.
Yes, okay. Did you have any questions about any of the rights on the form?
She answered my questions, yeah.
Okay. And are you currently on probation?
No.
Do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am, I'm a citizen.
At this time, I will accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you to, how many? I will give you credit for the time that you've served here in the Orange County Jail. You're not to return to the Walmart. You will have to pay court costs, which are going to include the cost of investigation to the Orlando Police Department in the amount of $89.58. Those will be due 1 year from today,
Yes, ma'am.
or you need to see the clerk of the court for a payment plan. If you don't pay that, they will suspend your driver's license.
I could pay it today.
That's fine. You can go online also and pay it on the clerk of the court website and get them paid, but you do have a year to get it paid.
I will, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Sir, good afternoon. Your name?
Junior Mark Lewis.
Mr. Montlewis, this is 2017 MM 5371. You were arrested for resisting officer without violence. Is there an offer to resolve Mr. Montlewis's case?
Yes, Your Honor, state did give me an offer of an adjudication credit and cost investigation to OPD in the amount of $24.
And he would like to accept the state's offer and enter a plea of no contest, Your Honor.
Mr. Montlewis, did you have an opportunity to go over that plea form with Ms. George?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions about any of the constitutional rights on the form? Are you on probation? Do you understand if you are not a U.S. citizen that this plea will subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll accept your plea, adjudicate you guilty, sentence you for the credit that you've served in the Orange County Jail, that you've served already, order you to pay court costs, including the $24 cost of investigation to the Orlando Police Department. Those will all be due 1 year from today, or see the clerk of the court for a payment plan.
I could go to court today and pay it off.
Sure, or you can go online.
Okay.
Right, just like I said to the previous woman, if you don't do that, they will suspend your driver's license.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. John?
Want to maybe reset him for tomorrow?
From what I was hearing, he was on probation.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so I was not going to be able to resolve the case.
I'm going to appoint your office to represent him. Would you like to,
I will waive the,
appearance? Okay. So that's 23 MO 375. He was arrested for 2 counts of state misdemeanors, which appears to be possession of drug paraphernalia and trespassing. I'll appoint the public defender, say the bond on count 1 at 500 and count 2 at 100 as well. No return to the scene. No, that he refused. Mr. Maldonado? I will waive his appearance based upon his ability to come to court in 23 MO 376. He was arrested for disorderly conduct. I'll appoint the public defender to represent him. His bond is $250. I don't know.
For who?
Do you want to see him?
I was gonna, I was still looking at the John. Your Honor, I would ask, that he be reset for tomorrow. He did have an offer to resolve his.
Mr. Maldonado?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, okay, we'll reset Mr. Maldonado then. Oh, did I take the wrong one? Okay. Mr. Vargas? Okay, thank you. Iglanikov? Patel? Mr. Patel, sir, you are here in 23 CT 1997. You were arrested for driving under the influence. There is probable cause. I'll appoint the public defender to represent you. Your bond on that case is going to be $500. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol or controlled substances without a valid prescription.
Your Honor, state would also ask for no weapons or firearms due to there being a alleged firearm in the vehicle.
All right, Mr. Patel, you're not to possess any weapons or firearms. Ms. George, do you know the status of the case in Osceola County?
I can't see it, Your Honor.
1 second, Judge.
Thank you.
Grace.
I'm just wondering if it's in PTD or,
He currently has, no, it's currently set for pretrial. It just went to pretrial on the 7th,
okay.
except for its next pretrial in May. It's currently open and pending.
Mr. Patel, are you represented in that case in Osceola County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who's representing you?
My lawyer, Alex Pearson, he was out of town today. I'm not able to attend. Pearson?
Are you gonna hire him for this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. He's gonna hire him for this case as well, Your Honor. But I think he said he's out of town this week.
Yeah,
The
but,
whole week?
yes, ma'am.
All right.
We mentioned to use the public defender today.
Okay.
Be able-
Your Honor, state would ask that you revoke it. The blow in that case was a 198 and a 223. And I believe that case allegedly occurred
It was last year.
October of 2022. So it's been approximately 5 months. And he's picked up another DUI. So state would argue that he is a danger to potentially himself and the community. And state would ask that you revoke it this time and set it at none.
So, Mr. Patel, I am gonna revoke the release in Osceola County. So if you were to post your bond here, Osceola County will come and pick you up and take you down to Osceola. Your lawyer can file a motion down there. I don't have enough information about what's going on. And so I think your lawyer can file a motion for you down in Osceola County and get things set the way that they need to be, okay?
Your Honor, if, I know, a lot of the times they get, in order to release them, they will make them, put on a monitor to monitor any type of alcohol. That's also a condition that can be imposed as opposed to holding him at no bond. I believe if you eliminate the alcohol, you eliminate any type of further threats. He's employed full-time. Usually they have the company come and put the monitor on.
I believe she's referring to a scram.
Graham,
Spray a monitor, yes.
Which there has to be a lot of background on getting that even set up because it's not done through the court system. So state would object to that at this time. And if they want to set it as a condition whenever they do his bond, I believe that'd be a more appropriate time to do that.
I tend to agree with Ms. Fleming right now. He's represented on that case by counsel. I think that the people who are handling that case, including the judge and the state attorney, can put the appropriate conditions on that they need to put on for his potential release in that case. But based on what I have before me here today, I'm going to revoke the bond and set that at none.
Because you can't find out.
And how long will it be here? Yes, ma'am. I'm able to keep both.
Did Mr. Perales Pena bond? Medical?
Or
All right.
Who's this, Your Honor?
Mr. Perel.
Oh, okay.
Perez Pena.
I would ask for pretrial release in this case, Your Honor. He does qualify.
Oh, okay. Any objection from the state?
No, Judge.
All right, so I will appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him, 23 CT 1998. Ms. George, you're waiving the appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and I'll place him on pretrial release.
Any conditions with the PTR, Your Honor?
Do not drive. Mr. Clark?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Clark, you are here in 23 CF 3637. You were arrested for dealing in stolen property in violation of the pawnbroker transaction form. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. You are not to return to the scene. Your bond on count 1 is 2,500. Your bond on count 2 is 100. Miss Komudla? All right. Mr. Crawford? Good afternoon, sir. You are here in 23 CF 3636. You were arrested for possession of a weapon by a convicted felon. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. Your bond is $1,500. Thank you, sir. All right, I am going to appoint the public defender to represent him in 23 CF 3657. He was arrested for aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer.
And Your Honor, I would ask that you consider reducing the bond amount. If you, based on the affidavit, it appears that he was having a psychotic episode, which is why the police responded in the first place. They set the bond at $10,000. I think that's excessive for someone who's having a mental break. So I just ask that you reduce the bond amount in this case.
Ms. Fleming, did you want to be heard?
Your Honor, state would just bring your attention to all of his prior arrest history are also all violent related history, all other batteries. And he currently does have an open non-arrest misdemeanor bat DV. That is also currently open, so state's just concerned regarding his overall violent behavior, as that appears to be all of his arrests. However, we'll leave it within your discretion.
And I just point to the fact that he's never been convicted, Your Honor.
I understand.
And Your Honor,
Yes,
the ag bat on a Leo is an F1. So state would argue that the 10,000 is reasonable, given that it is an F1.
all right. At this time, Ms. George, I'm just going to leave the bond set as he's not present. I certainly understand your argument. I think that once he's stable and released, the assigned attorney can file a bond motion. Then they can take appropriate testimony to figure out what conditions of release are appropriate and then what actually Mr. Diaz can actually afford. Because he is entitled to a bond and he's entitled to one that is within his means, so.
And state would just ask for no weapons.
It's just stayed and then no weapons or firearms. Good afternoon, are you Mr. Dixon?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. You are here in 23 CF 1438. You were arrested for conspiracy to traffic in cocaine greater than 28 grams and unlawful use of a two-way device. You are not to possess any drugs without a controlled substances without a valid prescription. You're not to possess any weapons or firearms. And you also have, well, in that matter, your bond on count one is set at 50,000, your bond on count two is 1,500. You also have 23 CF 1313, you were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for trafficking in fentanyl greater than 4 grams, sale and delivery of fentanyl, sale and delivery of cocaine, unlawful use of a two-way communication device. The conditions on the warrant are that you are not to possess or consume any drugs or alcohol. You have a curfew from 8 PM to 6 AM. Do you work, Mr. Dixon?
I just do some work at the bowling alley.
What?
I just commission work at the bowling alley. I'm a commission worker. Commission at the bowling alley. The bowling alley. I've been doing that for many years.
So your bond on count one is 500,000, bond on counts two and three is 15,000, bond on count four is 1,000. Mr. Dixon, you'll need to have your lawyer file a bond motion in Division 11. Thank you, sir. Oh, is this his too?
It's a
No,
different
he
Dixon.
just had the two.
Okay,
There's two Dixons.
got it. Are you Joshua Dixon? Mr. Dixon, this is 23 CF 3644. You were arrested for possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Mr. Dixon, you are not to possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Do you have a phone, sir?
No, ma'am.
Do you receive mail, do you have a place you receive mail?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you have a place that you receive mail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you do,
I'm actually homeless.
I was figuring, where do you get mail, the post office?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So right now I'm going to, you know where the Orange County Courthouse is?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna release you on your own recognizance.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to be at your next court date. Okay, so you need to stay in touch with the public defender's office, and you need to, make sure you know when that court date is, so you appear and they don't issue a warrant for your arrest.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, just for the record, state would object due to his 3 prior failures to appear, the last being in 2023.
Okay. Ms. Edie? Ma'am, you're here in 22 CF 5427. You were arrested for failing to appear in court on October 18th of 2022. At this time, your bond is set at none. Your lawyer will need to file a motion for you in Division 15.
Okay, and when will I go to court for it?
When? I don't know. So it'll have to get reset on the docket. In the meantime, if you want to have a bond considered, you would have to have your lawyer file a motion in that particular division.
How do I go about that?
That green form there that Ms. George is giving you, that has the phone number.
Okay.
Your Honor, I was looking at Odyssey. It was showing me an arraignment date.
Oh.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's just a determination of a new trial date, not an arraignment. Okay. But I'm gonna let her know.
Okay. Mr. Gill? Mr. Gill, you're here in 23 CF 3651. You were arrested for loitering or prowling, possession of cocaine, possession of burglary tools, possession of drug paraphernalia. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. Your bond on count 1 is 100, your bond on count 2 is 1,000, on 3, 150, on 4, 100.
Is that all together?
Has the state filed on the out on bond case?
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Gill, I'm going to have to revoke your bond on the out on bond case and set that at none. Your bond on your out on bond case, I'm revoking and setting at none. Thank you, sir.
Gonzalez?
I will,
And on the out on bond, I didn't see, any type of attorney appointed, so which is weird.
okay.
I didn't notice anybody was appointed in Odyssey when I see it. So I would ask that,
I have a PD on it.
you have it?
Sydney Van Ellsberg.
Oh, maybe it's just not showing in the system. I thought it was weird.
She did a demand for discovery.
Okay, perfect.
Oh.
I just wanted to make sure there was someone appointed.
Okay, so in the two new cases, 23 CF 3652, 23 MO 377, well, it's a possession, oh, that's a felony anyways. Okay, so the possession of methamphetamine, or excuse me, MDMA, and there's probable cause for that. There's probable cause for the open container. I'll appoint the public defender on both of the cases. I'll stay the bond on 377, and I will also stay the bond on 3652. I'm going to revoke the bond in 22 CF 14722. That will be set at none. Mr. Gray? Oh, Miss Gray, okay. Mr. Holloway Smith?
Yes.
All right, sir, you were here in 23 CF 3648. You were arrested for possession of MDMA, possession of cannabis within 1,000 feet of a business, and resisting officer without violence. There's probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. All right, sir, at this time, your bond on count 1 is 1,000. Your bond on count 2 will be 5,000. Your bond on count 3 will be 100. You're not to return to the scene. I am revoking the bond in 22 CF 8476. That will be set at none.
Your Honor, he's in pretrial diversion currently. I would ask that, I understand. I would ask that you, not take any action and allow, the state, if they're gonna kick him out of pretrial diversion, to do that later, at a later date. He already started the pretrial diversion, so I believe the bond should have been discharged at that time.
It probably is. Let me look.
He was referred, I don't think he's actually been approved yet.
He hasn't started. You signed it?
He was referred the 1st of this month. The file has not yet made it to me to sign.
There was was an order granting the referral.
Your Honor, since he is going to have a new law case open, when this case comes across PTD, he's going to be rejected due to having another open case. So say we'll leave it within your discretion what you want to do, but he'll not be accepted into pretrial diversion with another open case open.
All right.
Your Honor, I may make an argument that my client's he's 22, he's currently in school. Other than these charges, he's never been arrested, never been convicted. I just ask that you take no action on the pretrial diversion. If they're going to kick him out, I just ask that you allow the state to do that at a later time. However, if he's held here at no bond, he's not going to be able to complete school or anything like that. So I just think that because he doesn't have any other criminal history, that I would just ask that you consider not revoking the bond, as well as him pick up the same charges. So I just ask that you consider that as well.
All right, I'm not going to take any action on the out on bond case today, Mr. Holloway Smith. I'm taking into consideration the face sheet that I have indicating that you do not have any criminal history except for the case on which you are in pretrial diversion, have been referred to pretrial diversion for. I'm not making any comment as to whether you are guilty or not for either of these charges, but I think you need to take a really hard look at why you have been in contact with law enforcement 2 times in a very short period of time, and prior to that in your life, you hadn't at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, he did have 2 prior juvie cases as well. So I understand it wouldn't be on his score sheet, but he does have 2 prior juvenile cases.
Excuse.
Mr. Holloway Smith, you're also not to possess any weapons or firearms, do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. You said, hold on, say it again?
You're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, after this case, can I step out just to make a phone call?
What?
Can I step out after this case? Make a phone call? Because I gotta have someone pick up my son.
You have what?
To have someone pick up my son, can I make a phone call?
Oh, yes, yes, I
Thank
didn't
you.
know if, all you had to say was it was personal, that's fine, I just
Yes.
didn't know, that's fine. All right, thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Just need a minute.
All right, we're gonna be in a short break. What about Bobby Jones?
Bobby Jones, he refused, Your Honor.
All right, that's fine. Okay, so on Mr. Jones's case, I'm gonna. Yes, thank you. On Mr. Jones's case, I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent him in 22 CF 4745. I'm going to waive his appearance based upon his refusal to come to court. He was arrested pursuant to a probable cause capias for petty theft with 2 prior convictions. The bond is $1,500. He is not to return to the scene. He also has 22 CF 11057. He was arrested pursuant to a probable cause capias for petty theft with 2 prior convictions. In that matter, his bond is $25. He is not to return to the scene. The bond in 22 CF 4706 is going to be revoked, and that is going to be set at none.
And Your Honor, on the 11057, you said $25? Did you mean 2,500?
2,500. Did I say 25?
You said $25.
And Your Honor, I think that FAD might have been entered in error. I believe it occurred after the current cases. I don't believe he was actually out on bond when the petty theft 2 priors occurred.
1 second.
Okay, let me double check that.
4706 is 4622.
4706, he was arrested on 4/6.
The 11057 is a notice to appear on 3/3. So the 11057 did occur before.
Okay,
The 4547,
4745.
I had that backwards. 4745. It occurred. That one allegedly was December of 21, so the FAD is not in fact a FAD.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Megan. So no action on that FAD because it's not a real one. Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Delete everything except for no return to the scene. All right, so Mr. Holloway Smith, I am very sorry, but I do have to revoke your bond and set that at none. That's what's the law is according to 903.0471. I don't have a good feeling about releasing you on the facts of the cases that I read. Again, I'm not passing any judgment to whether you're guilty or not guilty, but I have to revoke that bond. It'll be set at none.
I'm saying though, why?
On the PTR case, or on the
The first case?
TD, on the diversion case,
On the first one, right?
yeah.
What happened if that firearm was my firearm in my name?
So you may have defenses for your cases. I'm not saying that you don't, but based upon everything that I've read, my instinct tells me that I need to revoke the bond, and that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry, thank
I
you.
gotta go to school.
I understand.
Because I don't know what to do with my paper, so I could put in the note. Could you give me the case number for the out on bond?
I have 22 CF
you.
8476.
Where would my hearing be?
I'm sorry. CF.
You'll need to have your lawyer file a
Thank
motion
you.
And also
in front of that
22.
judge, and it's Judge Brownlee, so you'll have your lawyer file that motion. Thank you, sir.
And we're appointed. Did you appointed us on that?
Yes.
There's already a PD on it, yeah.
I just want to make sure.
Derek Kuntz?
In defense will waive, Your Honor.
All right, I'll appoint the public defender to represent him in 23 CF 3669. He was arrested for false imprisonment, felony battery, and obstructing justice. There's probable cause. He's not to have any contact with the victim. He's not to return to the scene or possess any weapons or firearms. Bond on count 1 is $3,000. Bond on count 2 and 3 is $150. Fabian Luna Pania. Christina Massam. Ms. Massam, good afternoon. This is 23 CF 1923. You were arrested pursuant to a warrant.
Your Honor, state did file an information.
Okay,
It does it's 7 charges instead of the 10 that she's currently here for. It mostly mimics.
can you
warrant.
tell
I'm
me,
printing you an information just because there's so many charges.
so what I'll need to do is I'll need to set bond on the charges that are filed on and then ROR the rest.
Yes, Judge. You're. They're all similar, just kind of out of order.
Okay, no problem. She's set for an arraignment.
Can I approach?
Sure. All right, so Ms. Massam, you were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant. The state has since filed an information officially charging you with 7 crimes: scheming to defraud, grand theft third degree pursuant to scheme or course of conduct, scheme to defraud by communication, 3 counts, a count of petty theft, and a count of petty theft of $100 or more. So,
I don't know what you had from the last time. It's saying it was from.
State would ask that you ROR on 1.
okay. So your bond will be ROR as to count 1.
And then set bond on 2, 3, and 4. ROR 5, 6, 7, and set bond on 8, 9, 10. Right?
All right, so
That'd
I
be
have
3 schemes.
ROR as to count 1, set bond on 2, 3, 4, ROR as to 5, 6, 7, and set bond on 8, 9, 10.
Yes, Judge.
Ms. George?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, so as I stated before, you'll be ROR as to count 1, bond on count 2. Is going to be $2,500. Bond on counts 3 and 4 are going to be $150. Bond on counts 9 and 10 will also be, will be $100. Also, on 8 is $150. 5, 6, and 7 are ROR'd. And then it looks like this is actually not a fad either.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so then the out on bond case, the court will take no action on because the alleged offense dates are prior to her arrest in that case. Ms. Massam, do you have any questions about anything that I just said? I know I said a lot. No? Okay, thank you. Shoot, can you bring Ms. Massam back real quick? Sorry. Ms. Massam, you are not to have any contact with any of the alleged victims in any of the cases, okay? Thank you.
Yeah.
But Mr. Perry? Mr. Perry, good afternoon. This is 23 CF 3643 and 23 MO 378. So you were arrested for destroying evidence, possession of meth, and possession of cannabis.
Did you see that? Am I missing something?
They're destroying evidence? He threw it and then tried to leave. So it should be attempting tampering. He threw it. There was blunt containing cannabis.
But it's not
Yeah, that's why it should be an attempted.
tampering. Okay,
All right, Mr. Perry,
is that the same thing?
It should be.
you were also arrested in 23 MO 378 for open container. There is probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you in both of these cases. Mr. Perry, do you stay here in Orlando?
Yeah,
Do you have a phone?
I have one, yeah.
Okay, so you have a phone number you can provide to the public defender's office so that they can get in contact with you regarding your court dates?
Yeah.
All right, you know where the Orange County Courthouse is? Do you know where the Orange County Courthouse is? Okay, so Mr. Perry, I'm going to release you today on your own recognizance on both of these cases, provided that you are going to appear at your future court date, keep in contact with your lawyer, and not possess or consume any controlled substances without a valid prescription. Do you understand every condition I've stated to you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Courthouse downtown.
This is yours.
Thanks, sir.
Call up.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Mr. Petit, this is 23 CF 3649. You were arrested for burglary of an occupied structure and criminal mischief. There's probable cause. I will appoint the public defender to represent you. Sir, you are not to have any contact with the victim, return to the scene, or possess any weapons or firearms. Your bond on count 1 is 5,000. Your bond on count 2 is 100. And I am revoking the bond in 23 MM 525 and 23 MM 1003. Those bonds are going to be set at none, sir. Thank you.
Hold on, set up, what?
Pardon me?
She's revoking new charges. We'll let the attorney know.
The injunction?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Your name?
Alexander Colazo?
Mr. Colazo, this is 23 CF 1427. You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for conspiracy to traffic in fentanyl greater than 4 grams, sale and delivery of fentanyl, delivery of a controlled substance within 1,000 feet of a place of worship, and unlawful use of a two-way communication. I will appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. Your bond on count 1 is 100,000. Your bond on count 2 is 50,000. Your bond on count 3 is 25,000. Your bond on count 4 is 1,000. Thank you, sir. Mr. Oh, is it Miss? Angela Shearer. Ms. Shearer, you failed to appear in 22 CF 6618, and it was for trial management conference. Your bond at this time is set at none. You will need to have your lawyer file a bond motion in Division 22. I will appoint the public defender to represent you if they were not previously appointed. Thank you, ma'am. I will find a waiver of his appearance based upon his refusal to come to court. In 23 CF 3645, I will appoint the public defender to represent him. He was arrested for grand theft and fraud. Bond on count 1 is $2,500, bond on count 2 is $150. There is probable cause for both of the offenses. I'm not gonna take any action on the Osceola County case. Mr. St. Fleur?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. St. Fleur, you are here in 23 CF 3622. You were arrested for burglary of a conveyance. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you in that case and then the other cases that you have this afternoon. You also have 23 CF 3621, attempted burglary of a conveyance for which there is probable cause. In that case, your bond is $1,000. In 23 CF 3622, your bond is $2,500. I'm going to revoke the bonds in 23 CF 2066 and 23 CF 1665. Those will be set at none.
And Your Honor, so would ask for no return, no contact.
Mr. St. Fleur, on the new cases, you can't have any contact with the alleged victims or return to the scene. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, you set the bond at 2,500 on one, and how much on the other?
The other one was 1,000. Mr. Tinsley?
Your Honor,
Yes?
on the 1665, approximately an hour ago, we just filed a no info on it.
Oh, okay. Will you check the other one then?
Yes, 1 second.
Okay, hold on, Mr. St. Fleur. So on 1665, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna take no action on the 1665 because the state stated they just filed a no info.
The 2066 is still open and pending.
All right, so that one will be revoked. This is Mr. Tinsley. Mr. Tinsley, sir, you failed to appear in 22 CF 747 for a plea hearing on February 1st of 2023. At this time, your bond is set at none. Your lawyer will get that hearing reset for you, sir. Thank you. All right, any other matters?
Nothing from the state.
Nothing from defense.
All right, then court will be adjourned.
Can you hear me at the jail?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the video.
Okay.
You are here for an initial appearance after detention. The rules of criminal procedure require that you be brought before a judicial officer within 24 hours of your arrest. The purpose of the initial appearance is to have a judge list the charges against you, inform you of certain rights that you have, and to determine the conditions of your release. You should have already received a copy of these charges. The judge will review your paperwork to determine if there was probable cause to arrest you. If the judge finds probable cause, he or she will then determine if you qualify for bond and what the monetary and non-monetary conditions of your bond should be. If the judge does not have enough information to make a probable cause determination for your arrest, the state may be given additional time to amend the paperwork. You should also be aware of the following rights afforded to you by the Constitution. You are not required to say anything at this proceeding. Anything you say can be used against you. You have the right to communicate with counsel, family, or friends, and if necessary, you will be provided a reasonable means to do so. You have the right to counsel. If you have not already retained counsel and cannot afford counsel, the judge will appoint you a public defender. For the purposes of today's initial appearance proceedings, you may be able to briefly speak with a public defender regardless of whether the public defender is appointed for you. In order to have an attorney appointed by the court to represent you, you must be financially eligible, as determined by the court based on financial information you provide. Therefore, if you have not already done so, please complete, to the best of your knowledge, the financial affidavits provided by the correction officers. An application fee for the services of appointed counsel will be assessed. If you do not speak English or Spanish, please let a corrections officer know. When the judge is ready, she or he will begin calling your case by name. Please listen carefully for your name. When called, please approach the microphone as directed by the corrections officers. Thank you.
Usted se encuentra aquí para una audiencia o vista preliminaria, después de haber sido arrestado. Las leyes y estatutos criminales del estado de la Florida requieren que se celebre una vista preliminaria ante un oficial judicial dentro de un plazo de 24 horas después de su arresto. El propósito de esta vista preliminaria es para que el juez pronuncie los cargos contra usted, para que se le comunique a usted sus derechos procesales y para determinar las condiciones de su libertad o fianza. Y a usted debería haber recibido una copia de estas alegaciones o acusaciones por escrito. Ahora, el juez revisará la documentación en su caso para determinar si existe motivo fundado o causa probable para su arresto y detención. Si el juez determina que existe causa probable o motivo fundado, entonces decidirá si usted califica para que se le otorgue una fianza, tanto como cuáles serían las condiciones monetarias o no monetarias de dicha fianza. Si el juez no posee suficiente información para determinar si existe causa probable o motivo fundado para justificar el arresto, se le concederá a la Fiscalía tiempo adicional para modificar la documentación. También se les avisa que posee los siguientes derechos que se les otorgan por la Constitución. A usted no se le puede obligar a decir nada durante esta vista. Cualquier cosa que diga podrá ser utilizada en su contra como evidencia. Usted tiene el derecho de comunicarse con un abogado, pariente o amigo, y si es necesario, que se les proporcione los medios razonables y disponibles para hacerlo. Usted tiene el derecho a un abogado. Si todavía no ha encontrado o contratado un abogado y no tiene los recursos para hacerlos, entonces el juez le nombrará un defensor público. Para el propósito de la audiencia preliminaria de hoy, se le permitirá hablar brevemente con un abogado de la Oficina del Defensor Público, aun cuando no se le haya nombrado para representarle en todo el caso. Para poder recibir la designación de un abogado, primero debe calificar económicamente según lo determine el juez. Esto será basado en la información financiera que usted proporcione aquí. Por lo tanto, si no lo ha hecho todavía, de la mejor manera posible, por favor, llene el formulario de insolvencia económica que se le ha proporcionado por el oficial de correcciones. Se le impondrá un recargo o costo por los servicios del defensor público. Si usted no habla inglés, por favor, hágale saber al oficial de correcciones. Cuando esté listo, el juez comenzará el proceso llamando a cada una persona y caso por su nombre. Por favor, esté pendiente para pasar adelante cuando escuche su nombre y cuando escuche su nombre, haga el favor de acercarse al micrófono, tal como le indique el oficial de correcciones. Muchas gracias por su atención.
All right, I believe we may be waiting for someone from the state attorney's office. It's 12:57, so we'll give them 3 minutes. Counsel, which case do you have? I'll call it up first.
Your Honor, it is Michael Davis.
Okay. Let's see, was that a Spanish one? No. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Judge Epperson. We're here for your initial appearance. I know that you've just seen a video explaining the purpose of this brief hearing, and so we'll get started. I want to begin by having personnel put their names on the record from pretrial release.
Patricia Jenkins, pretrial release.
From the State Attorney's Office.
Brenna Jones for the state.
And from the Public Defender's Office.
Connor Dorsey on behalf of the defense.
All right, I'm going to begin with a case involving private counsel Michael Davis. Are you Mr. Michael Davis? He's muted, Mr. Dorsey. Okay, that's all right. All right, and counsel, if you could announce your presence.
Thank you, Your Honor. Scott Richardson for Mr. Davis.
All right, Mr. Richardson, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. I've filed a notice of appearance in this matter. I sat with Mr. Davis early this morning, anticipating he'd get a bond. I would hope it would be low in restriction, given the amount of time he's owned a home in the community. He works for Siemens in the technology department, and he's got a business event next week locally. So I just wanted to give the court a little bit of a background in terms of what the court might have in mind for bond restrictions. I was hoping for not many based on his background and lack of prior criminal history.
All right, and turning to Ms. Jenkins, with respect to that in a criminal history?
From 1997, he had battery, domestic violence, 2008 battery, domestic violence, and it's unknown who the victim is.
All right. All right, Mr. Davis, good afternoon. You've been arrested on a warrant for which a court already determined probable cause. I did review the affidavit, however, to familiarize myself with the case for purposes of determining whether bond is appropriate in any conditions. I'm going to set bond in this case in the amount of $750. Should you make bond, it would be supervised by pretrial release, and until further order of the court, you're to have no contact with Leslie Majangos. You're not to return to 225 Reese Court in St. Cloud. If I recall correctly, you have a different residence, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay, so just no return to 225 Reese Court in St. Cloud. During the pendency of this hearing, or this case, also not to possess any weapons or firearms, and not to possess or consume any alcoholic beverages. Your next court date, Madam Clerk?
On demand.
You'll receive your next court date. All right, Mr. Richardson, anything else?
That concludes my business. Thank you.
All right, have a good day. Thank you.
I'll see.
All right, moving on, I'm going to go ahead and call our interpreter so we can handle the Spanish interpreter cases. We'll begin with Mr. Kenny Alvarez so he can come to the podium.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Christopher Vanscoy, Spanish interpreter. I have been previously sworn.
All right, Mr. Vanscoy, we do have several matters for you, and we'll begin now. And we're doing initial appearances, of course, so it's not with the headset. All right, Mr. Kenny Alvarez, I will appoint the public defender to represent you in this matter.
Bien, señor Kenny Álvarez, le voy a designar el defensor público en esta causa para que le represente.
You've been arrested on an outstanding warrant for failure to appear in county court.
Usted fue arrestado por incomparecer ante este juzgado en el Tribunal del Condado
on a violation of probation matter.
con respecto a un incumplimiento de su régimen probatorio.
Judge Sanders Morency has set your bond at 0. It will remain 0 at this time.
La juez Sanders Morency estableció su fianza en la cantidad de 0 y va a permanecer en esa cantidad por el momento.
Your next court date will be provided.
Su próxima fecha de juicio, de su próxima audiencia, le será provisto.
BOP status hearing March 30th at 8:05 a.m.
La vista de seguimiento de su incumplimiento de probatoria será el 30 de marzo a las 8:30 de la mañana.
That concludes this matter. Thank you.
Hemos concluido con este caso.
Alexis Encarnacion Rosado.
I apologize, Your Honor. Do you have the case number for the previous defendant?
I do. Case number was 20MM1605.
Thank you.
The case number here, just one moment. Is not designated. Let's see. Yeah, it is. It's Polk County. Okay, never mind. All right. Good afternoon, sir. You've been arrested on a violation of probation warrant or on-view violation out of Polk County.
Muy buenas tardes, señor. Usted fue arrestado debido a una orden de arresto que se emitió por incumplir con su régimen de probatoria del condado de Polk.
Polk County case number 227677.
El número de causa del condado de Polk es el 2022-7677.
Your bond is 0 and Polk County will have a reasonable amount of time to pick you up.
La fianza de su causa en el condado de Polk se estableció de $0 y le vamos a conceder un tiempo razonable para que los del condado de Polk vengan a recogerle.
Your next court date, or well, actually you won't have a next court date in Osceola County. Polk County will pick you up. Thank you.
Su próxima fecha de audiencia sería, bueno, de hecho, no va a tener una próxima audiencia en este condado de Osceola porque le corresponde en Polk County. Gracias, en el condado de Polk.
Thanks.
Gracias.
Javier Gonzalez Torres, case number 23CT1327, 23MM653, coming forward. All right, good afternoon, sir.
Buenas tardes, señor.
I'm appointing the public defender to represent you in these matters.
Le voy a designar el defensor público para que le represente en estas causas.
I find probable cause for driving while license suspended. Your bond is $500.
Determino que existe indicios razonables de criminalidad por la acusación de conducir con licencia suspendida.
I find probable cause for possession of drug paraphernalia. Your bond is $500.
Determino que existe indicios razonables de criminalidad por tenencia de parafernalia de drogas. Su fianza se establece en una cantidad de $500.
Your next court date will be provided.
Su próxima fecha de audiencia le será provisto.
Thank you.
Gracias.
And 23CT1327, next court date March 30th at 8:05 if in custody.
Su próxima fecha de audiencia, si aún permanece encarcelado, sería el 30 de marzo a las 8:05 de la mañana.
If out of custody, April 5th at 8:15 a.m.
Si es puesto en libertad, su próxima fecha de audiencia sería el 5 de abril a las 8:15 de la mañana.
And 23MM653, next court date on demand.
I apologize, the interpreter couldn't hear that last part.
And 23MM653, next court date on demand.
Y la próxima fecha de audiencia para la causa 2023 MM653 se le notificará judicialmente.
All right, Noah Marrero Figueroa, case 23MM654.
Translator, please.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Buenas tardes, señor.
I've reviewed the police report. I find probable cause for battery.
Revisé el informe policial y determinó que existen indicios razonables de criminalidad con respecto a la acusación de agresión física.
Mr. Marrero, for your information, I believe that your wife is present, Yolimar Marrero, here in the courtroom.
Señor, para que lo sepa, yo tengo entendido que su esposa Jolimar Marrero se encuentra aquí presente en la sala.
Okay.
She's my sister.
Yeah, she kind of chuckled when I said your wife. Sorry about that for both of you.
Sí, ella ya como que se rió cuando mencioné que era su esposa. Me disculpo con ambos.
Where's Bullet? He needs to circle this. Right. All right, one moment.
Un momento, por favor.
Criminal history, Ms. Jenkins?
Antecedentes, licenciada Jenkins.
He has no criminal history.
Él no tiene antecedentes.
And he qualifies for direct PTR?
Yes, sir.
Entonces, ¿él reúne los requisitos para que sea puesta en libertad condicional? Sí.
All right, Mr. Marrero Figueroa, you'll be placed on direct pretrial release. You have to follow all the rules of the pretrial release program.
Bien, señor, usted reúne los requisitos para que sea puesto en libertad condicional. Debería seguir todas las instrucciones y reglas del Departamento de Libertad Condicional.
Also, you must not return to the Waffle House located at 1512 North John Young Parkway in Kissimmee.
Y además le prohíbo que regrese al Waffle House que se encuentra ubicado en la 1512 North Young Parkway.
You must have no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim in the case, Mr. Tyler Noggle.
Se le prohíbe además que tenga algún tipo de contacto con la presunta víctima en la causa, el señor Tyler Noggle.
And our next court date for this, Madam Clerk?
On demand.
Y la próxima fecha de audiencia, señora secretaria de sala, se le notificará judicialmente.
You'll receive your court date, all right? Thank you.
Va a recibir su próxima fecha de audiencia. Bien, eso es todo. Gracias.
All right. Next cases, Yoandi Dopico Reyes and, Yoandi Dopico Reyes. 23 CF 880. I'm going to afford the state 24 hours in this case to supplement the record for a possible probable cause finding.
Le voy a conceder al Estado, a la Fiscalía 24 horas para que someta el documento en la cual indica cuál sería el indicio razonable de criminalidad para esta causa.
The charging affidavit alleges that the offense occurred on March the 21st at 7:35 p.m.
El documento acusatorio indica que el ilícito tomó lugar el 21 de marzo a las 7:35 p.m.
Which does not correspond with any of the conduct described in the affidavit.
Y esta no corresponde con las actividades que están descritas en este documento acusatorio.
Perhaps it's a scrivener's error and it was intended as the arrest date, but I won't presume such.
Tal vez fue un error de la persona que lo escribió, tal vez fue la fecha que se le arrestó, pero no voy a suponer nada.
Additionally, the charging affidavit must distinguish between the conduct of these co-defendants as to who did what.
Y además este documento acusatorio debería distinguir entre los coacusados, estableciendo quién fue que hizo qué.
And to who possessed what cards.
Y quién tenía posesión de qué tarjetas.
So this is essentially a reset and the bond will remain $5,000.
Por lo tanto, vamos a tener que aplazar esta causa y la fianza se permanece en la cantidad de $5,000.
And just a second.
Un momento.
Mr. Dopico Reyes, can you afford to hire your own private attorney right now?
Señor Dopico Reyes, ¿acaso usted se puede costear un abogado particular en este momento?
Sí, ya lo tengo.
Yes, I already have him.
Okay, thank you.
Muy bien, gracias.
Asmani Rodriguez Hernandez, case 23 CF 881. This is a related case to the one just called. 23 CF 881. Mr. Rodriguez Hernandez, I'm resetting this initial appearance for tomorrow based upon the same grounds asserted.
Señor Rodríguez Hernández, yo voy a aplazar esta vista de primera instancia para mañana, basando los mismos fundamentos que el caso anterior.
For possible supplementation of the record.
Y para suplementar las actas.
The time of offense referenced on the charging affidavit does not correspond to any of the conduct described.
la hora del ilícito que tomó lugar, que está descrito en el documento acusatorio, no corresponde adecuadamente.
Nor does the affidavit sufficiently distinguish between the two co-defendants as to their particular conduct.
Y el documento acusatorio tampoco distingue con respecto a la conducta entre los coacusados.
Bond will remain as it's set for now at $5,000.
La fianza permanecerá en la cantidad establecida por el momento, que es de $5,000.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Oh, one more matter. Sir,
Una cosa adicional.
can you afford to hire your own attorney right now?
Señor, ¿acaso usted se puede costear un abogado particular en este momento?
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes.
Hemos terminado.
All right, I believe that concludes our need for interpreter services. Thank you, Mr. Vanskoy.
You're very welcome, Honor.
Oh, there's one more apparently.
I'm still here.
It's Angel Saldana. The very last one, I believe.
Okay. Angel Saldana. The paperwork is blank respecting public defender application.
El documento está en blanco, es el documento con respecto al defensor público.
Madam Clerk, you were saying? Public defender appointed in each of these three matters.
Se le asigna defensor público en las tres causas.
23 CF 8521, 23 CF 853, 23 CF 854, and actually it's 852, not 8521.
En las causas 2023 CF 852, 853 y 854.
Mr. Saldana, you've been arrested on warrants for which courts have already determined probable cause.
Señor Saldana, usted se arrestó porque se había emitido una orden de arresto en su contra y se había determinado que sí existían indicios razonables de criminalidad.
In 23 CF 852, your bond is $3,500 on count 1 burglary and $100 on count 2 resisting an officer without violence.
En la causa 2023 CF 852, la fianza se ha establecido de $3,500 con respecto al primer cargo, que es de entrada ilícita con fines delictivos, y $100 con respecto al segundo cargo, que es de resistencia al arresto de resistirse al arresto de un agente del orden público sin mediar violencia.
Additionally, you're to have no contact whatsoever with alleged co-defendants Isaac Blanco and El Haji Nadiai.
Además, se le prohíbe la comunicación con los coacusados en la siguiente causa, que es el señor Isaac Blanco y el señor El Yahi.
In 23 CF 853, bond is $3,500 on count 1 for burglary, $100 on count 2 resisting without violence.
Y con respecto a la causa 2023 CF 853, el primer cargo, que es de entrada ilícita con fines delictivos, la fianza se establece un monto total de $3,500, y es el segundo cargo, que es de resistirse a la violencia a un agente del orden público, la fianza se establece de $100.
You must have no contact with alleged co-defendants Isaac Blanco and El Haji Nadiai.
Se prohíbe la comunicación con los coacusados, el señor Isaac Blanco y el señor El Yahi Adia.
In case 23 CF 854, your bond is $3,500 on count 1 burglary, $150 count 2 resisting.
Y con respecto al último cargo, la causa 2023 854, se le impone fianza de $3,500 con respecto al primer cargo, que es de entrada ilícita con fines delictivos, y con respecto al segundo cargo se impone fianza de $100 y es de resistir sin mediar violencia.
No contact with Isaac Blanco, no contact with El Haji Nadiai.
Se le prohíbe la comunicación con los coacusados Isaac Blanco y El Yahi Nahia.
You're also not to return to the street Abbeville Court.
Y también se le prohíbe que usted regrese a la calle Abbeville Court.
Your next court date, you'll receive.
Su próxima fecha de audiencia se le notificará judicialmente y recibirá notificación.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Bien, gracias, señor.
Your Honor, Honor, I think we do have two more Spanish speakers.
All right, go ahead and call it up.
Looks like Greg Neves Salgado. He's approaching, Your Honor.
Case number 21 CF 2169.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Nieves Salgado, you've been arrested on a violation of probation warrant on a felony case.
Señor Nieves Salgado, usted se le arrestó porque se había emitido una orden de arresto con respecto a su incumplimiento de probatoria,
Underlying charge, robbery.
con delitos simido, hurto.
Your bond is 0 and will remain 0 at this time, and the public defender is not appointed.
Su fianza se ha establecido una cantidad total de $0 y va a permanecer en esa cantidad y no se le ha designado defensor público en la presente causa.
Your next court date,
BOP status hearing, April 4th, BOP hearing, April 6th.
Your Honor, does this individual have a private attorney?
one moment.
Su próxima fecha de audiencia, la vista de seguimiento con respecto al incumplimiento de su probatoria sería el 4 de abril y la ventilación de la audiencia de incumplimiento de su probatoria sería el 5 de abril.
No, not to my knowledge. The paperwork said he could afford his own lawyer.
La documentación indica que él puede costearse su propio abogado.
And he may be hiring Mr. Andrade, I've just been informed.
Entendido, su señoría, y tal vez yo tengo entendido que va a contratar al licenciado Andrade.
All right, thank you.
And the last Spanish speaker, I believe, is Gerald Hurley. Oh, you don't need one? Can you have the interpreter make an announcement to see if anybody else needs?
Go ahead, Mr. Vanscoy, if you could.
¿Acaso alguien que se encuentra presente en la sala requiere los servicios de un intérprete en español? Por favor, indíquelo ahora.
All right, that seems to be it, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vanscoy. We'll excuse.
You're very welcome, Your Honor. Have a great day.
You too. All right, moving to Craig Chapman Jr., case number 22 CF 1635. All right, sir, public defender is appointed to represent you in this matter. Mr. Chapman, you've been arrested on a violation of probation warrant. Judge Wilson set your bond at 0. Underlying charge, battery. Next court date.
BOP status, May 9th at 9 a.m.
Thank you. May 9th. Jamil Laboy. Case 22 CF 789. All right, Mr. Laboy, good afternoon. I'm doing fine, thank you. You've been arrested on an outstanding warrant for an alleged violation of probation. Judge Beamer set bond at 0, will remain 0 at this time. The public defender's office, let's see. Yes, public defender is appointed to represent you, so you have legal counsel in your next court date.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Briefly, yes.
All right, so my probation officer violated me, but she said that my ending day is April 9th, and she only violated me because I had 27 hours left on my community service. I finished the class, I finished all my payments. I was just trying to see if I could get R&R with the terms of still finishing my community service hours.
No, however, your attorney could bring this to Judge Beamer's attention, and he could consider that. I just can't at initial appearances, all right? Thank you. All right, turn next to Freddie Melendez Ortiz, case 20 CF 1868. All right, sir, good afternoon. I tell you what, if you can just announce about the attorney, because the paperwork's always down in the bottom, about whether they qualify him. Okay, public defender appointed. Mr. Freddie Melendez Ortiz, you've been arrested on an outstanding warrant for an alleged violation of probation, underlying charge, domestic battery, and resisting, battery on a Leo, ag battery. Judge Karsten, set your bond at 0, will remain 0 at this time, and your next court date will be provided.
BOP arraignment, April 6th at 8:30 a.m.
That's it. Isaac Blanco,
PD approved.
public defender appointed. All right, Mr. Blanco, you've been arrested on 3 outstanding warrants, 23 CF 849, 850, and 851. I'll walk through each of these. In 23 CF 849, you have a bond of $3,500 on count 1 burglary, 100 count 2 resisting an officer without violence. Should you make bond, you're to have no contact whatsoever with Angel Saldana, no contact with El Haji Nidiai, not to return to Abbeville Court. In case 23 CF 850, bond is $3,500 on count 1 burglary, 100 on resisting without. Should you make bond, no contact with Angel Saldana, no contact with El Haji Nidiai, no return to Abbeville Court. And finally, on 23 CF 851, your bond is $3,500 on count 1 burglary, 100 count 2 resisting. Should you make bond, you're to have no contact with Angel Saldana, no contact with El Haji Nidiai, not to return to Abbeville Court. The public defender is appointed to represent you in these matters, and your next court date will be announced.
On demand.
You'll receive it. Thank you. Turning next to Jarrell Hurley,
PD approved.
public defender appointed. All right, Mr. Hurley, you've been arrested on a warrant for which a court already determined probable cause for failing to register or report after vacating a permanent residence. I'm setting your bond at $5,000, and as a condition of your release, you obviously must comply with reporting requirements with the Sheriff's Office and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement concerning your residence, or even in circumstances where you vacate a residence. Next court date,
On demand.
you'll receive, and the Public Defender's Office has been appointed. Thank you. Stevenson McDonald, Stevenson McDonald.
PD approved.
Public Defender appointed. Good afternoon. Mr. McDonald, you've been arrested on an outstanding warrant. This is one, it's a 2010 case, I believe, 2010 CF 437. And I don't have a narrative, but a warrant was outstanding and active. I'm not going to disturb your bonds. On count 1 and 2, the bond's $2,500. It's possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, possession of ammunition by a convicted felon. Count 3, possession of cannabis over 20 grams, $1,000 bond. And count 4, possession of drug paraphernalia, $500. So an aggregate bond amount of $6,500. And your next court date?
Arraignment, March 28th at 8:15 a.m.
Did you hear that? Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good day. Tiffany Goff,
PD approved.
public defender appointed. All right, Ms. Goff, I do find probable cause for driving while license suspended. Your bond is $500. Actually, it says $2,500. Let me take a second look at the police report. Okay, I see why it's $2,500, but I'll set it at $1,000. All right, your bond's $1,000. Thank you. Next court date?
On demand.
You'll receive. Adrian Walker,
PD approved.
public defender appointed. All right, Mr. Walker, good afternoon. I've reviewed the police report. I find probable cause for possession of a controlled substance in count 1, fentanyl, and possession of drug paraphernalia in count 2. Your bond. Actually, Ms. Jenkins, history?
We have histories, but it's sealed, Your Honor.
So no history other than sealed? Okay. qualifies for direct PTR? Yeah. All right, Mr. Walker, you'll be placed on pretrial release supervision. You have to follow all the rules of pretrial release. And also, of course, you cannot possess, ingest, or consume any illegal substances or any controlled substances without a prescription. Public defender in this case has been appointed, and your next court date you'll receive. All right, thank you. Mr. Dorsey, I think that concludes our business?
Yes, it does, Your Honor.
Great, have a good day. We're in recess at the jail. Thank you, Ms. Jones.